as partners in supporting our community in simply being available to one another. And whereas local and national organizations like Suicide Prevention Services are on the front lines of the battle that may still refuse to discuss in public. And whereas the youth of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all fighting our own battles. And whereas I encourage all residents to take the time to inquire as to the well-being of their family, friends, and neighbors over the next few days, and to generally convey their appreciation and their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate. Now, therefore, I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, proclaim September 2017 as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
And Mr. Mayor, I know that there's no one here to accept this award, but I do want to lift up that I've heard that we've had a rise in suicides within our high school and middle school, and I do know that Education Board Member Margie Bowie has been instrumental in raising local funds to provide programming coming into the schools to raise this issue. So there is a lot of local work being done on this.
Very good. Thank you for that. Item number 9.
Proclamation declaring September 15th to October 15th, 2017 as National Hispanic Heritage Month.
I do believe there's a few people here to accept this. If you'd like to come up to the podium here, we'll read it, and I'll bring it out to you, and you can make any comment you wish. Whereas, since the last census, the U.S. Hispanic population stands at 57 million, approximately 17% of the total population, and it is projected to be at 133 million by the year 2050. And whereas, and data also shows that the Hispanic population in Rock Island County has increased from 2000 to 2010 by 33.8%. And whereas, today in the United States there are over 4 million Hispanic-owned businesses with a gross domestic product of over $660 billion. Whereas these numbers will be forever increasing in the coming years as Hispanic population continues its growth. Now, therefore, I, Mike Tomes, do hereby proclaim September 15th to October 15th, 2017 as National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you to Rock Island for recognizing the Hispanic community. You have a very strong Hispanic community here and throughout the Quad Cities, and it's great. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Oh. No. Item number 10.
A special ordinance providing for the donation of city-owned property at 2101 and 2117 11th Street to Friendship Manor Properties, LLC.
Move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Thank you. Item number 11.
Claims A through J. A, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $15,824.82 to Dave Morrison of Rock Island, Illinois for legal services rendered for the month of August. B, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $4,900.71 to Mid-American Energy of Davenport, Iowa for general liability claim. C, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $4,740 to Betty Rosso of Rock Island, Illinois for general liability claim. D, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $9,800 to Peter Brown of Rock Island, Illinois for general liability claim. E, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $2,428.82 to Scott Schluter of Rock Island, Illinois for general liability claim. F, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $9,951.36 to Broadspire of Atlanta, Georgia for workers' compensation settlement. G, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $36,017.24 to Langman Construction Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois for an emergency sewer main repair at Augustana Slough. H, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $25,078.45 to Valley Construction Company Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois for an emergency water main repair on 17th Street and 31st Avenue. I, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 1 and final in the amount of $353,844.25 to Gallagher Asphalt of Thornton, Illinois for the 2017 Hot in Place Recycling Program for services provided from June 19, 2017 through July 15, 2017. And J, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment number 2 in the amount of $33,956 to Green Space Associates of Davenport, Iowa for the 2017 sod replacement program for services provided from July 7, 2017 through August 18, 2017.
Move to accept the reports and authorize payment for the claims items A through J as recommended.
Second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 12.
Claims for the weeks of August 25th through August 31st in the amount of $1,264,875.04 and September 1 through September 7th in the amount of $168,078.76 and payroll for the weeks of August 14th through August 27th in the amount of $1,455,363.42.
Motion to allow the claims and payroll.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 13.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding bids for the 33rd Avenue Court reconstruction west of 17th Street project, recommending the bid be awarded to Langman Construction Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois in the amount of $258,871.15.
Move to award the bid. Move to award the bid as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 14.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding bids for the stormwater repair 17th Street, 4th to 5th Avenue, and 4th Avenue, 18th to 19th Street project, recommending the bid be awarded to Langman Construction Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $166,171.50.
Move to award the bid as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item 15.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the donation of property at 1328 30th Street to the City of Rock Island.
Move to accept the property donation by the Seuss family as recommended, authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents and consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
For those here and watching at home, This is the site of the former Tim's Comic and Vintage Rose Antiques. The council and staff have been discussing some ideas for this location, potentially a public spot for hanging out, maybe some artwork. I'm really excited to get the neighborhood involved, Augustana, potentially students, to have it be a sort of a comfortable place for people to just enjoy the neighborhood. So that's what this is all about.
Very good. Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Schipp.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Yes.
Spargettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 16.
Report from the Police Department regarding 3 options for police officer fees for the Quad Cities Marathon. Recommending option number 3, payment of the full amount for the police officers required for the event.
Motion to approve option 2 is recommended.
Second.
Excuse me?
Option 2 or 3?
2.
2.
Okay.
Not 3.
Not
Okay.
3.
Been moved in second. Any discussion?
Yeah, just for sake of clarity and continuity, option 2 is what we had, as a council, agreed to last year. There was discussion led by then Alderman Foley concerning this, the nature of this event as being the whole Quad Cities coming together to support a regional, national marathon, and as such, we didn't want to be the only city that was different in terms of charging for the police service, whereas the other cities didn't. So we felt it was important to support this event and sort of reimburse through a donation the cost that we would incur for the overtime for police. And if this passes this year, I think that in moving forward into budget, we should think about maybe making this a permanent move, as 2 years in a row would be something of a precedent.
Yes, could we have the clerk read the 2 options, number 2 and number 3, so the people at home know exactly what we're talking about and the differences?
Read that virtual.
Well, no, I'd rather for the clerk
Okay.
to read. That's her JLB. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You want me to read options 2 and 3?
Those are the 2 that's up for
Okay.
discussion.
Option 2, donate the cost of the fees or portion of for the police officers back to the Quad City Marathon. The Quad City Marathon would pay the officers directly as they have in the past. The off-duty rate would apply. Last year, the total cost was $1,696.75. This could increase depending on the hours they will be needed. Option number 3, charge the Quad City Marathon the full amount for the police officers required for the event. It's also noted, any reduction in the fee will be executed through a budget transfer from the general fund.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I, go ahead.
So, option number 2, which was just read, says to donate the cost of the fees for the police officers back to the Quad City Marathon. But then the second sentence says the Quad City Marathon would pay the officers directly. So
the marathon would make the payment, and whatever that payment was, the city would make a donation in kind back to the marathon.
okay.
So essentially, there'd be no cost to the marathon, but the officers would be paid.
Right. And the recommendation is option number 3, which says to charge the Quad City Marathon the full amount for the police officers required for the event. And it says in the recommendation at the bottom of the page, similar sponsoring organizations for race events that occur within Rock Island pay the full amount for the police officers required for the event. I wonder if the chief would mind coming up and commenting on that.
Chief, I think it makes you comment every year around this time.
It remains the police department's position that an event sponsor is responsible for paying for the fees for a police officer.
And other organizations that have similar events do that?
They do. And they don't receive reimbursement for the city for those services.
Okay. So that's your recommendation?
Yes.
And once again, it would come out of the general fund is where this is going to come out of, to pay that.
What about,
Come out of
what,
the general fund if we selected option number 2.
Correct.
If we select option number 3,
Then there's nothing, they pay it, it goes to the, offsets the office, that department.
pays for the officers' hours.
Option 3, which is our recommendation, is the Quad City Marathon is responsible for the full fee and they pay the officers directly. Option 2, what you're discussing, is reimbursement of sorts to the marathon. They pay for the officers because they have to issue individual checks, and then the city reimburses them. But it remains our position within the police department that they are responsible for the fee.
Okay, I'm curious, as far as Alderman Shipp and Alderman Clark, why you have changed it from option 3 to option 2, and either one of you can feel free to say why.
Well, last year it was unanimous. The council voted for option 2 to reimburse. The reason for that, it was the nature of this event going through all 4 cities. If we weren't doing that, we would have been the only city that was charging for the police service. The other cities, either the way we do it or through just direct covering of the cost, provide that as sort of a corporate level donation to the event. So we were just kind of getting in line with the other cities, and this council had approved that last year unanimously. So that's why. And staff maintained the same position last year, and the council discussed it, and we came out feeling that for an event of this specific nature, that we wanted to be like our sister cities and provide that policing free of charge.
And also, it's a marketing tool for the city of Rock Island. Every other city is looking at this as an event that's bringing people to Rock Island, to their city. And we didn't want to be one of the ones that saying, no, we don't want you in Rock Island. So they stay at the Holiday Inn when they come. Many of them stay there. We just want to be more inviting, and we don't want to be that city that says, no, we don't appreciate you coming.
Okay, well, I want to make sure before we vote, you're going directly against the police department. Is that the way I understand it, Chief?
I think
What's
that's
going
a
with
question
option
posed
2?
to Alderman Shipp. He's recommending a different option than
different
what the police
option.
department
And
has
the police
recommended.
department says option 3,
Yes,
correct?
and the reason for doing that is because we have, a number of events that we provide police services to, and our goal from the police department is to remain consistent.
Right.
And we charge for those services. We charge them back to the event sponsor, and this is obviously a deviation from that.
Exactly.
And so our position is we remain consistent and do the same thing we do on a consistent basis.
Okay.
And then
Thank you.
last year, the city council unanimously
The
went
council
against
did
your
go with-
recommendation as well.
I don't know
Council
if it was
approved it
unanimous.
last year.
but,
I don't
yeah.
remember it being unanimous.
Yeah, and the issue isn't.
I'll not be supporting it
Right.
tonight. It's against staff recommendation, and how do you give it to everybody else? How do you not treat everybody the same? So,
It's a great point, but the issue, I think, was it's not so much going against the chief or the police department or staff recommendation. It's us taking a look at this and saying, well, if every other city is doing this, then do we as a municipality want to make that corporate level investment in this event and say, this event as a once a year marathon, and I know we've got other events that require police services, that we may support or sponsor in different ways, nonprofit rates for rentals, all sorts of different things that are happening. And for this particular event, with it being outside with so many people, obviously police is a cost. I would say if every other city was saying, you know what, we're going to have the marathon cover the costs, and then all of a sudden the marathon's got 10,000, maybe more in additional police expenses, I don't know what that would do to the event, but we had this discussion last year, And this is what we did last year, and I think it's important to have continuity on this decision.
I just want to make one more comment. Of course, we have new council members on from what you had last year. Regardless of how the vote turns out, I think the council needs to have a study session where we talk about all of the events that ask for waivers of fees, exceptions to rules, et cetera, and try to develop a philosophy, where we kind of all understand each other. I don't think anybody's against the Quad City Marathon being here. We definitely want to hear. On the other hand, there's financial considerations, and so that's a factor as well.
Of course.
So I hope we can have a study session that includes some larger groups, other groups, where we talk about this.
I'd like to ask our city attorney, would we perhaps be setting a precedent where other events would come in and say, okay, you did this for them, you got to do it for us?
Well, I think that it's a situation where, as long as you're articulating the reasons for why you think that this might be different from another, I think that then obviously what a court would look at is that reasonable. So you might say, these are the reasons we feel that this one is different because of the following reasons. And I believe that the aldermen have been talking about those reasons that they believe distinguish it. So someone could always make that claim, but I think it's important in the discussion that you've had to put forth the reasons why, if you vary, why you're varying. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Most or all of the other events are strictly in the city of Rock Island versus multi-city.
Right.
And that's the biggest difference between it. And so it is kind of a delicate balance to be consistent with all the other ones, but those are just in the city of Rock Island. But to be consistent with the other cities, you would make the option too. So it's a fine line you walk.
Yeah. Well, the hotels are always full for these events because we do this. If it passes, will not make the hotels lose any money or gain any money. We do not have enough hotels and motels in the whole Quad City area, and the chamber has told us that. So restaurants also.
Yeah.
I will be voting against it.
The biggest issue I got to say I have, and I could go either way with it because I believe in being collaborative with other cities and everything else, is that we have to continue to watch our dollars. There's no doubt about it. The general fund is not as flush as it used to be, and we keep on ticking away at that, and it could be a problem. So to me, some of it's the financial side of it more than the consistency. We need to be consistent, but I view it, not to belabor this. You go to the iWireless, and they offer the same rates in a lot of cases, whether you're a nonprofit or profit or whatever. They're there to, I'll say, make a dollar. And so if you discount it to all the nonprofits or give it free, you wouldn't have any income. And so,
Well, one of the other few bi-state things I can think of is the St. Patrick's Day Parade. What do we do there?
The St. Patrick's Society is responsible for the fees and
So
pays
they
the
do
fees.
reimburse the city, just like Davenport
Yes.
does, or does Davenport?
I don't know how Davenport does it over there.
but whatever it has been, even if they've given it free, there's not been controversy of us charging and them doing free. They've done it year after year, so there's not been that controversy. Okay?
Could you clarify what the St. Patrick's Day Parade does? I'm not sure I heard that.
Goes from Rock Island over to the Davenport, over Centennial.
I know where it goes, but what about the
So
fee?
would we do option 3 with them?
The fee, what do they do?
Do they come to us and we have 3
The
options?
St. Patrick's Day Society is billed for the police services, and they pay the police services. There's no
It's the
reimbursement.
same as your recommendation tonight.
Does it come before city council and we vote on that every year?
It has not. It has never come before the council.
Thank you.
May I ask why? What's the difference? And
I can't answer
A former
why
alderman
St. Patrick's
wanted to
Society
be,
hasn't brought it.
Redistribution of wealth. A former alderman wanted to donate their money to the, the former alderman wanted to donate city property taxpayer monies to a nonprofit organization. Clearly is what it was.
But why does it show up on here and none of the others do?
Because they asked.
Okay. And so that the others haven't asked. I don't know.
They have not, yes. The only one who's asked is the Quad City Marathon. St. Patrick's Society has not asked, has not brought it before the council, to my knowledge.
Maybe they'll come up with it next year and ask for free.
Possibility.
Hey, can't blame them.
Okay.
All right, are we ready for roll call?
Ready.
Roll call, please.
You're voting on, you're voting on option 2.
Option 2. Alderman Talanier.
No.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Keenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
No.
Brigettis.
No.
4 ayes, 3 nays. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Item 17.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding the emergency contractor rotation list.
Move to approve the amended emergency contractor rotation list to include Langman's and Sons Construction, Rock Island, Illinois, Valley Construction, Rock Island, Illinois, and Miller Trucking and Excavating, Silvis, Illinois.
Second.
Excuse me, moved and seconded. Is there a discussion?
I will be abstaining from this question and the vote.
Did you leave Brandt Construction off of that intentionally?
I listed Langman and Sons, Valley, and Miller Trucking. It is my,
So Langman's excluded from the amended
No,
list.
Brandt.
No.
I'm sorry,
He did
Brandt.
not say Brandt.
Sorry.
I did not say
Brandt is
Brandt.
excluded from
That's
the
correct.
amended
I
list.
didn't say Brandt, along with
This is
several other
all.
Quad Cities construction companies.
No.
So you are, by not including them in the motion, you are asking for Brandt to be removed. Is that what we're hearing here? You're changing the policy?
Yeah.
A decades-long policy?
I am the same as any other construction company that's not listed on this list from the Quad Cities, is the same as Brandt. So, yeah, I suppose you can see it as
Well, I don't know how else to
seeing
sell
them
it.
from the list.
Here's real quick the issue. Is that if we have a motion, is there a second, and then we can have discussion?
Yeah, we have a second.
Please.
It was seconded.
What's second?
It was second, so, okay, we want to make sure we got this right. All right, so any discussion then? That's fine, I'm sorry, Steve, I didn't want to, just want to make sure we got
No,
it.
it's fine.
Discussion then.
Call for the vote.
I guess I'm going to weigh in on a little bit is that, on the emergency side, Brandt is done the city just fine. They had a problem with one of the contracts on a major project out here, and there's no doubt that's been a very controversial issue, but it was a large project, probably, and I hate to state for them, larger than what they were able to handle with their staff and everything else. And I feel uncomfortable excluding them when they've done, with the emergency calls they've done just as well as all the other contractors. We've had no disputes. There's been no, fines or shutdowns or anything else they've had. OSHA deals and everything else on those emergency calls and everything else. And I view those as two separate, or any other project they've done, short of this one big project they ran over budget and over time. And I believe, after reviewing and talking to several people, that project would have been over more money and more time, no matter who had it. There was a lot of unknowns underneath there that it couldn't be bid, and so it was going to be an add-on no matter what, whether it was the same magnitude or not. Nobody will ever know. So I do feel uncomfortable taking a Rock Island business, some Rock Island residents out of it, just for that one construction issue. So that's, I guess, my statement.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I don't think Alderman Parker said that, okay? But you weren't here when this was going on, and I don't know why you're bringing this up now to bring somebody in from outside and eliminate Brandt. They live and operate out of the second ward. They have people that pay taxes, homeowners in the second ward. And we had a lot of discussion about this at the prior council. I can't understand why, after a couple months you're down here, that you want to get rid of them and put somebody from, was it Silvis?
Yes, yes. Which is a good company.
Well, I don't care how good they are. They ain't in Rock Island.
No.
I will protect my constituents.
Are you sure that there's no employees that live in the city of Rock Island for Miller Trucking and Excavating?
How would I know that?
Well, that's my point, though, is
Yeah,
that
but that
we
ain't
don't
no
know.
point. We know who lives in Rock Island from Brant because they've made their presentation to the council before. Okay?
Yes.
So if we continue up the road that you're calling for, there won't be any Rock Island. We have got to protect our own, and that is the citizens in the city of Rock Island. In Brant, I believe, Mayor, you know more about where Randy, where their factories, I'll call them, are located. Where are they located at, Randy?
Yeah, their headquarters is in Milan, but they have an operational facility in Rock Island. That's why they're considered a Rock Island contractor.
Right. Okay, is the company from Silvis, what is it, Miller?
Miller.
Do they have anything that you know of in Rock Island?
They don't have any facilities in Rock Island. They're one of the contractors we use for other work. But
Thank you.
Once again, and excuse me, I'm sorry, real quick. I don't have any problem adding anybody else, whether it's those or some others. You know, I don't think it affect too much. You know, adding some other contractors.
But he's not calling to add. He's calling to subtract.
I agree. Well, add Miller, but subtract Brant.
No, he did not. That was not his motion.
Yes, it was.
He never mentioned Brant.
He never mentioned Brant
Well, no,
at
I
all,
didn't
did he,
mention
Madam
Brant.
Secretary?
I also didn't mention the several other construction companies that we have in the Quad Cities. I mean, if you're going to raise a stink that we didn't include one particular construction company, then why aren't you
There's
up
only
here
3 on the emergency list, correct, Randy?
currently? Yes.
that's correct.
The others, they're not even there. We're talking about the 3 that are there, not all the rest of them in the Quad Cities. They are already there.
Correct.
And you read off eliminating Brant. That's bull.
That is correct.
Thank you. I'm glad you agree with me.
Okay? Is there anything else productive we can talk about here? If not, we will do, we clarify the motion, please.
Motion to approve the amended emergency contractor rotation list to include Langman and Sons Construction, Valley Construction, and Miller Trucking and Excavating.
So that's the motion on the table. It's been seconded, so let's take a roll call on that issue.
Alderman Talanair.
No.
Alderman Parker.
Aye.
Chip abstain. Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
No.
Forgettis.
Aye.
4 ayes,
Mine, ain't you?
2 nays. Motion carried.
Okay. Item 18.
Report from the city clerk regarding a request from Royal Neighbors of America to use water and electricity from the Centennial Bridge building at 201 15th Street for a Royal Neighbors of America event on Wednesday, September 13th, beginning at 11 a.m., to be held in the southwest corner of their parking lot.
Move to approve the request as recommended.
Second.
We'll move to second. Any discussion?
Just a quick question. Does anybody have any ballpark idea how much electricity and water is used?
Minimal. But I don't have a dollar amount.
They're only open for a few hours, I assume, on that afternoon. Is that right? 11 o'clock, to be held at 11 o'clock.
Correct. It's not going to, they're not going to go all night. But anytime anyone uses city facilities, they need to come to the council and ask permission.
Thank you.
When I saw this in the council packet, I thought, you know, what a nice thing to do for one of our corporate headquarters downtown Rock Island. Little things like this, I think, add up over time and maintaining relationships, so we don't end up with another surprise company, you know, down the road making decisions to be here or not be here. I think Royal Neighbors has been a steadfast neighbor of this city, and just a little gesture to help them out with their event.
All right. Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanair.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Ship.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item 19.
Report from the city clerk regarding the activity permit application from Kyle Eckberg on behalf of Augustana College for a Dome-5K road race to be held on Saturday, October 14, 2017, beginning at 8 a.m.
Move to approve the event as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up an issue here that Judith had alerted me to. There was a, and Chandler, I don't know if you've had a chance to review this, but there was a change in our event policy for new events. Is that right, Judith? You can feel free to jump in anytime if you'd like to edit.
It was before my time, too.
Well, yeah, so there was a change in policy with our event policy under the former CED director, I think in 2014? And I can be a little more specific in a follow-up email, but there are some very strenuous tasks that are required if a new event wants to be established that caused this young man here to really put in some overtime to get signatures and walk that route hard to make sure every single living person there knew that what this was going to be and get their signature down. And, I think informing people via postcards and letting people know, posting it in the paper, whatever, we may want to look at that policy, though, and just try to understand, is that really in the best interest of the city in balancing the creation of new events, the encouragement of new events happening here, at the same time respecting the homeowners and businesses along the routes or in the area. And so I just wanted to put that out there on this one because, like I said, Judith had let me know that there was some pretty substantial roadblocks to get it done, but it's done, and I'm happy, and be a good event.
All right. There's no other discussion. Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Item 20. Any other business?
I think just today, somber day, 16-year anniversary of 9/11. I think of thinking about our first responders, and I think probably for a lot of us, it's hard to just think about how much time has gone by and where we were that day and how much has changed in the world. And I was watching footage of that day and reading some articles, and we just can't ever forget it. We can't ever forget the threats that are out there and how precious every minute is, because all those decent people were just going to work and taken out in the most crude fashion possible from this world. And I think it's important that every year we think about them, we think about our troops who went overseas, who are still over there today, and all of our first responders who jump into fires and all sorts of dangerous situations, and just be grateful that we do have a great country and a lot of great people who are willing to put work in, keep us safe.
I think along with that is then also the disasters down in Texas and Houston and that area, along with basically the whole state of Florida for the most part. But, there's been a number of Quad Cityans that have done a lot for those areas also here of recent. And once again, it continues to show that Rock Island residents, I know several, Valley Construction's one that has put something together, step up and help the people when they're in need. And so thank you to all the citizens in the Quad Cities for that type of help. But those people are suffering too at this point. Positive side, of course, I'll bring back up again Madison Keys. She did a great job. Is there anything else? I do have one person that wishes to address the council. Paul would like to talk about sound amplification. So if you could tell us your name.
Yes. My name is Paul Inman. I live in 915 30th Street in Rock Island, Illinois. I have for over 35 years. Pleased for this opportunity to speak to you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm here today to speak to you about the sound amplification permits that you issue to different organizations in general, and in particular about the ones that have been issued to Kavanaugh's Hilltop Tap. The rules governing the enforcement of sound being emitted from the area are only in general terms, referring to complaints from neighbors in the area. I would ask that you consider serious enforcement of the rules you set forth and ask that you make a few changes in those rules. One change that I would ask that you make is a provision of the sound that is being emitted from these concerts and other activities cannot be any louder than, let's say, maybe 80 decibels on the street or sidewalk level. Now, OSHA has determined that anything over 85 decibels causes permanent damage to one's hearing, and it should be easy to enforce such a rule through your city attorney and through an ordinance. I'm sure this rule is established by the city for its employees using hearing protection for certain equipment on the streets. And I would also ask that you use more on-site enforcement for the rules that you now have in place. Now, in reference to Kavanaugh's concerts, over the last year and a half, they've gotten so loud that they can be heard blocks away. I live 2 blocks to the north on 10th Avenue, and I have for over 35 years. The sound is very loud. You might as well say that there's a 2-block radius or more where the sound is very loud, and this is unacceptable and outrageous. This has been out of control for a long time in the Hilltop area. For example, on August 26th, I was 2 blocks away, and all day long, from 1 until late in the evening, the music was blaring out. At 5:15 in the afternoon, I drove up there. I was about 250 to 300 feet away from the stage, across the street, and down 12th Avenue. The sound was over 100 decibels. I'm going to play a short excerpt from what was playing at that time. Please bear in mind that this is a Saturday afternoon around 5:15 when people are driving by, kids are going by on bicycles, folks are going into the coffee and antique shops in my area, in that area, and families are going into Happy Joe's and True Value. They are all hearing the same thing that you are about to hear.
I think we got the idea on that part. How long is that?
It's a little bit worse, that which I'm not going to play for you, because it's even worse about oral sex and all kinds of things like that, cocaine.
I'm sorry, it wasn't the volume you were trying to demonstrate, because that wasn't very loud, but it's what they were saying or singing.
Could you hear it?
I couldn't understand it.
You
But
couldn't?
that's okay. I understand what you're saying.
Oh, I could hear it.
What they were saying was,
It'll be in the
goddamn
minutes, don't worry.
motherfucker, shit, goddamn motherfucker, shit, goddamn motherfucker.
got it.
And this went on for 4 or 5 minutes at 5 in the afternoon.
Profane
And all of the
language.
people, you asked me to stop playing it, didn't you? Because it's offensive to your ears, isn't it? Well, it was offensive to my ears. It was offensive to the kids' ears that were riding their bicycles by. It was offensive to the people that was going into the antique stores. It was offensive to those going into families, going into Happy Joe's. It was offensive to everybody, but nobody could say, I couldn't say to them, stop. The policemen that were there didn't say to them, stop, if there was policemen there. Didn't say to them, stop. There's only one person that can say to them, stop, and that's you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. You are the policemen for this kind of thing. We have a right to expect decent language and to expect not to have that kind of crap blaring out over our neighborhood. And we do have a city attorney that I'm sure could write up an ordinance that would be really easily enforced about the decibel sounds that would be emitted out onto the public cities and streets. And just in ending, I understand that Kavanaugh wants to make money, and as well as we all do. But I'm not sure becoming the Pied Piper of Hamelin for the college students in the area just to get them drunk and make money is what we should be looking to as a community. And I am damn sure that Augustana faculty would not approve of their students drinking and over-drinking, as we all know is happening, unless we have dampers on our eyes. And in closing, perhaps the council should consider not granting permits to Kavanaugh's while the college is in session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
So,
Yeah.
can I ask a question of the city attorney briefly? We're talking about excessive decibels of noise, profanity, and I forgot, the drinking aspect of it. We already have ordinances, don't we, to address some of those, or do we not?
With regard to the decibels, I'm not aware of the decibels. There may be. I certainly could look into that and let you know. With regard to restrictions on speech, that gets a little trickier. I'd be happy to put together a memo for you on that. But
Profane speech.
Yeah, well, the Supreme Court has wrestled with this for longer than I've been alive.
Okay.
And I'll be happy to give you their most recent interpretation of that. As one Supreme Court justice said, he knows it when he sees it and or hears it. That was his definition. So it's been something that they've wrestled with. I'd be happy to give a presentation or to send out a memo to council on that issue, on all those issues.
That would be good, because I think there are several of us, including myself, who already have hearing damage and don't want any more.
Sure.
Right. And if I just may say, in regards to this, we all have a right for freedom of speech. That's true. Just like we have a right not to holler, but we don't have a right not to holler fire in a theater. But we do have laws set down by OSHA, and the city attorney, as I'm sure of that, says that 85 decibels or more is bad on hearing. And I'm sure that the city, if they don't, they should, so they can protect themselves from liability, should be having hearing protection on all of their employees that are running the jackhammers and doing that sort of thing, so that they don't come back later and sue the city and then me as a taxpayer for the city's failure to enforce the hearing protection. So that hearing protection then should be easier for the attorney to say, okay, we are not going to allow amplification over our city streets past the venue in which the property owner owns into the public area of something that can damage our citizens' hearing. Because then, if we do that, then you are not encouraging, but going along with the damaging of the people's hearing by allowing giving them a permit to do that. Then you leave yourselves liable, in a sense, because you did not protect my hearing. If you don't want to go after a way of freedom of speech, then let's stop it, because the noise, because we don't have to hear this 3 blocks away.
I think everybody got the idea. I appreciate that very much.
We'd like to see some action on this, not just some, oh well.
All right.
No, and sir, I think one of the issues here to consider as well is whenever we grant one of these special use permits or sound amplification permits, they're always subject to being shut down early if noise complaints are received.
Right. They're guaranteed to be shut down.
I would ask that you let me finish. In that, one of the most effective ways to get those complaints moved quickly is to contact your alderman. Now, that happens to be me for your residents. The location is in Alderman Parker's ward, though. And if 2 aldermen are getting a call about obscene language, well, we can take care of that in real time. And so I would just, this council is going to take your suggestion into very serious advisement, and
Okay,
I think we
thank
can
you.
craft that
Thank
into
you.
ordinance
Right.
without much of an issue
Right.
in terms of the decibel control there. And we will take advisement from our council on the language profanity
Sure.
issue. But at the same time, I'm saying this for you, I'm saying this for everyone who's watching at home, keep us on speed dial, because when we call city manager, when we call the police chief, something's going to happen. The police are going to show up at that event, and the owner's going to be spoken to.
Well,
And
correct me.
they know that their permit was issued based contingent upon complaints.
Upon complaints, yes. I know that too because I've attended the meetings, many meetings I've attended too, and I've read the permits. The permits say very clearly from the neighbors, and Kavanaugh said the neighbors will be notified. Well, what do you consider the neighbor? Am I a neighbor 2 blocks away when I can hear it that loud? I've never been notified. You know, the perimeter or the circumference of the area in which the loudness is, and definitely goes down to 10th Avenue, you know, and do the neighbors, do they know that they have the right to call the police or call you, or do they feel maybe intimidated? Like I felt intimidated. I feel intimidated right now from the repercussions that I may get, you know. So there's a lot of neighbors that maybe want to say something but will not speak out. So I'm speaking out for these people who don't have a voice too. Think about that.
I trust
and,
that you
and,
are.
and how can a few neighbors, what are they supposed to do? Call the police? The police are sitting right out there. Don't we have off-duty cops there? They heard this. They heard that being played out at 5:15. Do they have a responsibility to say something about that?
You and I was up there. I want to know how many of these others was up there and heard it. He wasn't even alderman at the time. We was up there.
There have been events in the past where Kavanaugh's has hired police officers, but not on a everyday basis or every event basis.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to know how many people sitting up here now was up there that day or that night. Were you there?
Did he give a specific date?
I don't know which kind I wasn't.
Yeah.
You know the specific date, sir? Paul?
26th, he said.
Was it August 26th, that concert or that music?
Yes, August 26th. In fact, this young lady just came up to me. I don't know her name, but she says she lives on 25th Street, and she feels exactly the same way.
Okay.
I live on 12th Avenue and 25th Street.
She lives
and
at
I
12th
agree.
Avenue and 25th Street, and she feels exactly the same way. She just came up to say that.
Thank you.
So,
Were you up there that day?
No.
You? You?
No.
I was.
Oh.
And James was there, and he wasn't alderman at that time. And I attest to what this man is saying is true.
And
It was,
again, I have a 10-year-old.
you heard all of it too, didn't you? Yeah. So there is a problem there, and we need to look into it. Like you say, you two border that street. This is one of your constituents. He brings it here. There is a problem there. We had to back out of there. We couldn't even drive up the street. The streets were blocked. We had to back out of the alley just to get out of there because people had parked everywhere. But, you know, that's their idea of fun, having a good time, you know.
Okay.
And I want to be careful not to overhype the situation in that Kavanaugh's hosts outdoor music events where not all of them are profanity-laced diatribes. Okay,
You
screamo.
sure about that?
I know that for a fact.
Okay.
All loud. They're
But-
all loud.
Right.
And they're all with one thing
Sir,
in
please,
mind. And the one thing the one
okay.
thing they have in mind is making money at the behest of the college students and getting the college students drunk, you know, and they're in a very great place to be the Pied Piper of
All right.
Brooklyn, you know. Now, if you want to do that, Mr. Shipp, you go right ahead and
Sir,
and-
I think your time. I think your time is over.
we know what
It's time, yeah, we gave you some time, and I appreciate that. I appreciate
Right.
the emotion.
Right.
And expressing that. Thank you.
The point I was trying to conclude with there is that the issue that has serious and immediate merit is the decibel issue. To what extent we can control the artistic content that's coming from a free enterprise business is extremely limited, and I think that's the reality of the situation. But I think that it's very clear to everyone up here that we are with you on your concern, and we hear you, and we are going to do something about that. And I can guarantee by tonight or tomorrow morning, the ownership of that bar is going to know that there's an issue here.
When you
And
go
that
there
we're-
tonight, right, Steve?
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we might have some people there tonight, so this will be dealt with. And the point I've tried to make before to individuals who come is in regards to your point about feeling intimidated, as much as we can say don't feel intimidated to ever contact us. Your alderman. Everyone watching, everyone here, don't ever feel intimidated to contact your alderman. That's our job. We're here most every Monday night. You know where to find us. Our addresses are posted on the website. We're here to listen and take care of things. So, it's, we understand when it gets to a point where you expect, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay.
Because of the noise.
Yeah.
It's just when I happened to get down there, that was playing. This isn't something I picked out. That was just what was playing at the time. It wasn't something I would caveat and say, oh, I'm going to get this one, it's good.
Sure.
It was just what was playing.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. All right, we need to move on. Item 21.
Executive session, 5 ILCS 120, Section 2, C11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Motion to go into executive session for the exceptions cited above.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion with that? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker. Shipp.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spaghettis.
Yes.
7 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
We finally agreed on something.
Thank you, sir.